Hello, you're listening to E-Bible Fellowship's new Open Forum Excerpts, and now we present the following excerpt.
Welcome to our program. Please go ahead with your call.
Hi, Chris. Can you please read Daniel 12, verse 4?
Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
And I have a second question that relates also to this, to the last verse where the Lord said knowledge will increase. But right now, I'm really interested in, do you know when God said knowledge shall increase, is he saying that knowledge for the elect people, when we know understand the Bible more as time goes to the end, or is he saying that the unsaved will, make all kinds of devices or evil devices, or is he saying as a whole, it's the knowledge from the Bible that we're learning as Christians, and the knowledge from the unsaved is learning also with the wicked doings and all that?
Yeah, the thing the Bible's mainly interested in is the Bible itself, or Bible knowledge. And so that would be the number one focus for this statement, would have to do with Bible knowledge. But we can't just dismiss or ignore the fact that secular knowledge or knowledge of the creation has greatly increased in preparation for God's end time program. In other words, we just had a new year. Well, if we go back, not very long, go back 150 to 200 years back into the 19th century, we're going to find that even though there was some advances, some travel advances and locomotives and things like that, that pretty much just about 150, 200 years ago, people were living the same way that mankind had lived throughout its whole history. That is, go back to the biblical times, the creation of the world, and down through history, where people, they had limitations on travel, limitations on communication, limitations on many things, plumbing. And that's how life continued in the world for thousands and thousands of years. If missionaries wanted to go to another country, they would have to go by ship, maybe go by some kind of train or wagon, horse and buggy transportation. All throughout the Old Testament, no trains, but the horse and buggy, chariots. And then in the New Testament era, for centuries, horse and buggy, chariots. And, to the year 1000, all the way up until the time of the Reformation, the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, horse and buggy. And then again, some advancements, some early advancements, and God's in control of all knowledge. It's his creation. God hid within the creation the secrets that have been discovered concerning, the electrons and the technology that we have today. All of these things were within the world, within the creation itself, over the course of history, and men were smarter back then. The closer you get to Adam and Eve, the smarter, the more intelligent men would have been, because Adam was a perfect man. So the workings of his mind worked perfectly. There was no error, no sin to cause any kind of erroneous thinking. He thought perfectly in everything he thought until he sinned, and then the body began to break down, and the mind's part of the body. And so, over the course of early history, we find recorded in the Bible, the very long ages that men live because we can understand, well, that physical body God initially created was perfect without error, without sin, and therefore was a perfect machine that would have lived forever if man had not sinned. But sin brought corruption to the body, and yet it was working slowly, and so men live for hundreds of years, and that also would mean their mind would have been impacted on a slower pace. And then coming down through history, the lifespan shortened up until our present time, and the workings of sin destroys. Sin always destroys, and so here we are, the furthest generation away from Adam to live on earth, and with the advancements of the electronic age. Yes, there was a few brilliant men that God gave wisdom, secular understanding to, and opened up the eyes of their understanding on that level, to discover certain things, and a population increase, and so you have pool of men and more brilliant minds that could come forth, and yet it's all under God's control, and he developed things, timing it very carefully, because once the world was connected through very fast travel, very fast communication, through radio, television, and at the last, internet, phone service, the cell phone that people have that connects even the poorest of people with the whole world. Once that happened, then the sin that was pretty much contained within the wicked mind of an individual. Throughout history, this is the blessing of living in the horse and buggy age, was that the most wicked, or those who really, were doing evil and able to share it, let's say 500, 700 years ago, 1,000 years ago, well, they could contaminate their family, they could contaminate their friends with their evil ideas, they could contaminate maybe their little town. If they were especially evil, maybe they could rise up and even bring their evil ideas to more. But it was always very difficult to do so, and a lot of times when that individual died, much of their evil that they were spreading died with them. And there wasn't too much of a record of it even. But now you have a wicked man, an evil man in our time, and he can spread his evil everywhere or anywhere on earth, through internet, through social media, through well, look at this. Look what we're doing right now with instant communication on Zoom, and anyone from Africa or from Asia or from Europe can right now call us, and they can communicate, and people potentially, of course, we don't have great numbers, but potentially, and people are doing it with podcasts and so forth, the ideas of men, and those ideas are overwhelmingly sinful, can be spread across the face of the earth. So it was necessary for God to keep these things under wraps throughout the history of the world, despite the superior intelligence of people in the past. God's in ultimate control, and so he kept these secrets hidden until the proper time, because he had a program at the end of the world to end the church age and yet to save a great multitude. And so he basically, he opened the scriptures to the understanding of his people, increasing their wisdom, as it says here in Daniel 12:4, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Implication is, at the time of the end, the book of the Bible will no longer be shut up, and to be shut up means to be sealed, but God will remove the seal and open it up, and then will result, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Biblical knowledge, and again, working in a secular society for the most part. Some believers were involved, but for the most part, secular people. God arranged precisely at the time that he opens up his word, and through his word, a purified gospel, he intends to save a great multitude. He has lost the church that we would have thought would have been the perfect vehicle to share this end time information, because the church was worldwide practically, had plenty of money, plenty of people. However, the church went apostate. It fell away from truth, and so it became useless. And God, it was not in his plan ever to use them to share the gospel at the time of the end. And therefore, he ended the church age. No salvation at all within any church. They were not going to be used of God to bring the latter rain. He would instead use his elect. They were the ones who he was revealing these things to, and he would raise up a little ministry like Family Radio, a little ministry yet at a time. A little ministry 100 years ago, it wouldn't have worked, but a little ministry at the time when the electronic medium is exploding, and now all of a sudden there's a worldwide platform, Family Radio, internet, and advertising on TV and radio and so forth. And the whole world hears, and God saves a great multitude.
Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss any upcoming videos.